Welcome back to the Naija Filmmaker, a podcast about Nigerian filmmakers, their films, and how we can build a diverse and functional industry. I'm your host, Selegot. Welcome back to my monologue. On this episode, I'll be talking about industry best practices and why it's important to know them. If you're a new listener, you're welcome and I hope you enjoy. So an industry best practice is a commercial or professional procedure that has been accepted as being correct or the most effective. These best practices are like a language. When people speak the same language, then they can communicate and be productive and achieve things together. For example, a best practice is screenplay format, how your screenplay is supposed to be. There are places where you send your screenplay and if it's not in that format, it won't be read because it's something that is totally alien. It's like a different language. Another example can be when the first assistant director is getting ready for take and he's calling out for the camera and sound team to confirm that they are ready. If he doesn't do it in the prescribed way, people might be on different pages and there might be a lot of confusion. On set, a second assistant cameraman, also known as a clapper loader, used to be the person that loads the film into the camera magazines. But as the industry moved towards shooting with digital cameras, this role had to evolve. Some other duties of the second AC is operating the clapper board at the beginning of each take, marking the actors as necessary, and also maintaining records and paperwork for the camera team. These records include writing down information of the take number, the lens being used, the shutter angle, and also the card. And these kind of records are important in the case where the camera team has to reshoot something and they have to conform with what has been shot before. So keeping these records mean rather than just punching in random settings on the camera, you are consistent over the whole shoot. As opposed to what we see on most Naija film sets where the script supervisor is the person that writes all these details down. This is not the industry standard, or the script supervisor is in the directing department, and for all camera information, it should be handled by people in the camera department. Another best practice is doing rehearsals before your principal photography starts. I understand that the practices we have on Naija film sets are reflected by the size of our budget and all the constraints we have to work with, but it's important to know how these things should be so that when you want to scale, you are well informed to do the right thing. Another industry best practice is having rehearsals before you start shooting. This is a practice that helps the directors and actors to figure out how they want to bring this character to life. And in my experience, rehearsals always enrich the acting in the film, and you can hardly go wrong with, adding this to your pre-production activity. Another type of rehearsal is the camera rehearsal or technical rehearsal, where the camera team and the sound team go through all the actions and maneuvers for the scene. So recently, we have seen a lot more collaborations between local and foreign crews, for instance with the arrival of Netflix. This is important because knowing and adhering to these best practices mean that the collaborations will become seamless. Another aspect of adhering to best practices is the use of professional software. We know how there are industry standard softwares like Final Draft and Celtex for screenwriting. We have Avid, Media Composer, Adobe Premiere Pro, and Apple's Final Cut Pro for editing. And we also have Movie Magic budgeting and scheduling for script breakdowns, budgets, and schedules. So I'm not by any means saying we shouldn't think outside the box. That's why we're creatives and filmmakers. We want to express ourselves and share our perspectives with the world. But it pays to show that you know your onions in an industry that you hope to specialize and excel in. Because at the end of the day, that's the goal. Thanks for listening to this episode. Remember to leave a rating and a review. You can send in your feedback on social media. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SelegoFilm, and the podcast also on Instagram and Twitter at the Naija Film Pod. See you on the next episode. Have a good one.